Hello and welcome to the section 6.1 lecture today for Algebra 1 Part 2. Today we're starting our last unit for this microterm. Hopefully we can get everything done and get past with this credit, and we'll move on to the next one next week. So today we're going to be talking about writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. So we want to take some information that we have and we want to write the equation, whereas before we started with the equation or some other information and then we graphed it. Now we're going to kind of switch that around and go from some kind of information, actually come up with the equation. So we are writing in slope-intercept form, so we're looking for y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, and we're going to look at this in a variety of situations. Okay, for the first one, we're going to be given a graph. So when we're looking at a graph, first thing we want to do is identify the y-intercept. I'm going to say the b. Okay, and then step 2, we're going to want to somehow count off our slope, or m. And then step 3 is to write the equation. Okay, let's look at a couple examples. So every one of them, we want to start off finding our y-intercept. So for this one, it's right here at 4. We can say b equals 4 to help ourselves out a little bit. And then I want to find 2 points on my graph. This can be one of the points, but I need another one. I think that's a pretty good one right there, showing it going up 1 and over 2. So our slope is up 1 over 2. And so we can write the equation 1/2 x plus 4. And there we go. That's our job today, is to write that equation just like that. Next one, I see right here the y-intercept is 1. And it looks like it goes down 1 and right 1. You can say it's a negative 1 to go down 1. So our slope is negative 1 or negative 1 over 1, however you want to write that. It's okay to write your equation like this. More commonly, you'll probably see it as just negative x plus 1. Just know that those two things are the same thing. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Looks like we have a y-intercept right there. So b is 3. And we need to find another good point. I don't see one. I don't even really think that's a good one. I think our best one would be this one way down here at the bottom. And so for that one, it looks like it's going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and over 2. So I guess it turns out that this one would have worked also, because it goes up 8 over 2. And if my slope was 8 over 2, it would be the same as 4 over 1. So we get y equals 4 times x plus 3. And for our last one here, it looks like we have a y-intercept at 2. Now, all these y-intercepts were positive. They wouldn't have to be, but all these ones ended up being positive. And I don't really see a good point until I get here. All right, so let's see if we can figure out what kind of slope that is. It looks like it goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 5, and over 1, 2. Which is a valid slope, negative 5 over 2. and we'll leave it like that. So then I get the equation -5 over 2 times x plus 2. Okay. All right. So next thing we have, next set of givens that we have is a point and the slope. So here they're giving us a point, or sorry, giving us the slope. So what we can do is find the slope, or find our b using our point, and slope, and then write the equation. Let's take a look at what that's going to look like. And I would say that we do have two options. Okay, this is probably the more common one. But it's that I want to write my equation that I know of with my slope involved. And I'm just going to use b as kind of a placeholder for now. And what I'm going to do, so I put the -2 in there. Now I'm going to plug the 6, 3 in for x and y. And it's very important that we realize that we're kind of switching places, right? The 6 has to go there, and the -3 has to go there. But I can write this equation, or I can put those numbers in, and then solve that equation for b. Okay, so let's try that. Let me put -3 there. That's still a -2, and we're going to multiply that by 6. And then we're going to solve for b. -2 times 6 is -12, so I'll have -3 equals -12 plus b. And we'll add 12 to both sides, and we'll have our b. They cancel out there, and when I add 12 to 3, I get 9. Add 12 to -3, I get 9. And so I get y equals -2x plus 9. If that y-intercept would have been negative, then I would have said -9. I did say we had two options, so I would kind of be wrong if I didn't show you that other option. And it's going to end up in the same answer, as long as I do everything kind of in the right order and get some things right. But let's go ahead and see what that other option might be. Another option that we could do is to write what we know in point slope form. And then solve the equation for y. Because that would also be a valid strategy. But you have to remember point slope form. It's that y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So in this case, I'm not putting the 6 and the -3 in for y and x, but instead for the y1 and the x1. So if we do that on this, we'll get y minus 6 equals -2 for the slope. X minus a -3 would be x plus 3. And I'm having some doubts. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, that would be my doubts. Those are backwards. Okay. That makes a little more sense. So y goes with the y. So this would end up being y plus 3 and then x minus 6. You got to be careful about that. That's a common mistake, and obviously because I even made it. You will find that when you do this, you're doing a lot of the same things, though. -2 times x is -2x. -2 times -6 is plus 12. When I subtract 3 on both sides, they cancel out over here, and I get negative 2x plus 9. So I'll kind of leave it to you on which way you want to do it. I would say they're pretty close to the same. There might be a little bit, it might take care of itself a little bit more this way. But yeah, it's totally up to you. It's up to you on which method you want to do. I'll start this next one with the first round of solve for b and then write the equation. Slope of 1/3, so I have y equals 1/3 times x plus b. Just holding on to that. My y is 2, and my x is negative 3. And so that 1/3 times negative 3 is going to give me negative 1. And when I solve for b, it looks like I get 3 for b. And so then I have to remember to write my equation. I'm not done at that point. I get 1/3 x plus 3. And if you want to try that one the other way, you can also. Just make sure you put your x and your y in the right spots. Okay? In the interest of time, I'm just going to leave it at that and call it good. Got 2 more. Maybe I'll do one of these the point slope way and one of these the slope intercept way. I'll do this one the slope intercept way, the solve for b idea. Slope of negative 4. Put my x and my y in. Might run out of room here. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And I'll add 4 to both sides. Looks like I get 7 for b. So then I get y equals negative 4x plus 7. As promised, I'll do this one the point slope way. I'll take y minus 5 equals 1/2 parentheses x minus 2. So I put 2 in for x, 5 in for y. Now this would be an equation of a line. You could leave it at that, but if you want it in slope-intercept form, that's going to take a little bit more work. So we start off by distributing, and then we move the number over. I almost think this might be an easier way, but it's not taught very often because point slope form isn't taught very often. Okay. And the last thing that we have is just given 2 points. So we went from being given a graph, that was more of a visual test. Then we went to a slope and the slope and a point. There was a little bit of algebra involved there. Now we're kind of maxing that out with the 2-point method, just having 2 points. So we're going to say the first thing that we want to do is to find our slope, no matter what. Find our slope using the slope formula. The y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then from there, I'm not even going to write 2 other steps. Pick a strategy from above. We'll say use slope and point method. Because once we have our slope on these problems, it's just like the problems that we just had. It's just like the 2 that were right up above, except for I'm going to have 2 points, but that doesn't really change anything. Okay, that just makes it to where then we could pick one of our points that we want to use. But no matter what, on all these problems, we're going to have to start off by finding our slope. So maybe we call it x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we go at it. 6 minus negative 2 over 2 minus negative 1. 6 minus negative 2 turns into 6 plus 2, and that's 8. 2 minus negative 1 is going to be 3. So we get 8 over 3 as the slope, and then I have 2 points that I can pick from. Maybe on the left ones I'll do the slope-intercept way, and the right ones I'll do the point-slope way, just to mix it up and just to give and let you see more of those different options that you have. So let's say y equals 8 over 3 x plus b. And I like to kind of highlight which point I'm using just to keep myself square. I'm going to use this one because they're both positive. I would get the same thing if I do the math right if I were to pick the other one. And this isn't going to work out very nicely. It just won't. 6 equals, let's say, 16 over 3 plus b, and I want to subtract 16 over 3. 6 happens to be 18 over 3, so we're going to subtract 16 over 3, and we're going to get 2/3. So that's what b is equal to. I'm just going to kind of write that over there. Because I was running out of room and I had to do common denominators, all that good stuff. And so now I have everything I need. I know that y equals 8/3 times x plus 2/3. And there we go. That is our answer. Okay, we'll try this one the point slope way, but I need to find the slope first. We'll do that right up here. We'll call that x1, y1, x2, y2. And obviously everything will always work out better if you have a nice slope, because we end up having to multiply something by that slope. So either way, it gets easier if we have a good slope. And I don't know what this one, this one's not going to be too nice. Then we have 5 minus 1. So I've got negative 5 over 4. And even with that, it's not going to work out great. I'm going to pick this point to use in my point slope method. So I want y minus 4 equals my slope, and then x minus 1. So that's going to be y minus 4. I need to distribute. Negative 5/4 x. Let's say plus 5/4. That's negative 1 times negative 5/4. And we're kind of getting to our limit on time, or what I like to kind of think of as a limit. So I'm going to try to get through this a little bit quicker. I'm going to add 4 to that. It's really going to be 16 over 4. And 16 and 5 is 21. So I'm going to get y equals negative 5/4 times x plus 21/4. And we're going to leave it at that. Let's look at these last two and maybe see if we can find some easy ways here. So this one, I'm just going to go ahead and find the slope first. I'll go 7 minus negative 3 over negative 3 minus 2. This will work out okay. 7 minus negative 3 is 10. Negative 3 minus 2 will be negative 5. 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. That's not my answer. So I'm not going to box that in. But I got negative 2, and I'm going to pick this point because the points are a little bit smaller. And I'm going to do this the slope-intercept way. Now plug in my points. I have negative 3, negative 2 times 2, plus b. I do like this method because it's the method that most people learn, because most people learn slope-intercept form. I do, however, think the other way is a little bit easier in that it just saves one step and I don't have to remember to put my b back into my equation. But I can tell you that I've been taught this method way more than the other one. So I do like to stick to things that we do a lot of the time. Let's see on this one. First thing I'm going to do is find my slope. 4 minus -5 over 3 minus 0. That's -9 over 3, which is -3. And then I'm going to pick this point because there's a 0 involved. And I'm going to, I guess I'll stick with my thought process and do the point slope way. So I'm going to put this x and y into my equation. I'm going to have y plus 5 equals my slope, x minus 0. That x minus 0 is going to come in handy. And I would say that I probably overworked myself. -3x and then -3 times 0 is just 0. And so then I'm just going to subtract 5 from both sides to move that over. And I don't have a number to subtract it from. I guess I kind of have a 0 to subtract it from. But I get -3x minus 5. Now that ends up being, I did this in a different color to kind of prove a point. Sometimes we go through a lot of work and we really didn't need to. Okay, just picking this point 0, -5. I didn't need to. All I needed to do on this problem was find the slope. Anytime you have 0, comma a number, that's my 0, comma b. That is my y-intercept. There's a reason that's -5, and I get a -5 there. All right, because this was actually given to me as my y-intercept. If I would have seen that earlier, I wouldn't have had to do any of this work. Okay, I could have just went straight to y equals -3x minus 5 and called it a day. So be on the lookout for those. If they give you your y-intercept, don't waste it. Okay? Anyways, I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in class.